Welcome back to the Rockman Power Hour, a podcast where we talk to the most interesting people in the world of pop culture and everything in between. And this week on the show, we are joined by Alan Parsons.
Of the Alan Parsons Project. Patrick mentioned to me that you really like Thunderbirds, like as a show. And funny enough, I guess we've had... Anyway, have you ever actually been remotely musically inspired by Thunderbirds in any kind of way?
I think I would have to say no.
Welcome back to the show. Really glad that I'm here with my co-host, Ryan Stick. Ryan, we just got a chance to talk to an actual rock and roll legend. He's somebody whose name has been around music for, 6 decades now. It's unbelievable. The man is an absolute musical genius. Not only is he an incredible engineer, producer, he's also a great musician all around, great songwriter, great singer. And I'm still kind of taken aback that we got to talk to Alan Parsons today.
Yeah, I've been doing a real deep dive because recently it's like when I knew we were talking to him, I'm like, I've always respected Alan Parsons. I know I Robot and stuff, but I remember that our friend Patrick Reed Johnson, who's been on the show, and just a little background, everybody, there was this legendary Star Wars screening where it wasn't quite ready yet.
Yeah, it's like a work print.
Like a work print, but it just so happened that this kid from a small town happened to be visiting Hollywood that weekend and happened to be in that screening, and has since been dubbed by the producers of Star Wars as Fan One, and he made this incredible movie, a really long time coming film called 5/25/77 about his life and about how he saw Star Wars, and 5/25/77 is the day that Star Wars came out. And it's a fascinating story, but it was a real labor of love. It took like almost 2 decades to get this film finished because of the musical rights, and Alan is a huge part of why people said yes for a fraction of the cost. Actually, you know what? Should we play the part where Patrick brings up Alan?
Yeah, let's do it right now.
Okay, let's do it right now.
I was very fortunate in a number of ways. One of my best friends in the whole world, Alan Parsons, of the Alan Parsons Project, who I've known since like 1985 or 86. We were using iRobot, his second album, came out on 5/25/77.
Okay.
And so originally the idea was to score the entire film with only the songs of that album, but it didn't quite have enough breadth to cover all the emotions. But we do have a number of the best songs from that album in there. But Alan and I have known each other for a long time, and he's been a big supporter of the film. And in fact, when we lost one of our ELO songs, we had a thing called, Waterfall, that was supposed to be where the song "I Can't Get There From Here" is now. And I didn't know what to do. And we tried everything we could find, and we couldn't figure anything out. And I thought, oh my God, I got to replace this with something. So I put together this little garage band demo of a song I had written about Alan Parsons and Eric Wolfson and their breakup, called "I Can't Get There From Here," which was not a love story. It was about brothers in arms, making music. And I thought, if I strip the Alan Parsons Project drama out of this, it really is a love song.
Right.
We tried that. And so, David Russo and I, worked on it, and David made a beautiful demo and brought in, Jared Mahone, the amazing singer who's on the final as well, who is a session musician who also is a troubadour and goes around the country singing. And anyway, we sent this demo to Alan, and Alan liked it so much. He said, can I reproduce this? Let me put it through my system, in my gang, and we'll fix it up a little bit, and then can I have it as the last song on my new album? And I was like, oh, well,
wow,
we'll see. Call my agent, you know. And of course, I was blown away. And so Alan knew many of the people involved. He, Brian May from Queen, and he knows Ringo, and he knows the guys from 10cc, and so he was able to reach out and just say, look at the movie. They can only pay X, and X was 1/10 of what it should have cost.
Sure.
So you see, that's crazy. And here we got to talk to this rock and roll icon. So not only like a generous person and a talented person, but when you really think about a day before digital, all the stuff that he was an engineer on and the reels of tape that they had to put together to create literal magic. Yeah. I have no idea in my little copy paste world how the hell he's made his albums, Pink Floyd albums, Beatles albums, all of them. I am no idea. And the more I talk about it, the more humbled I am that we talk to the man in general. And I'm glad we've already done it, because I would have embarrassed myself.
Well, it's really special that he's taking the time to come to Montreal for a very, very special concert called Music is Medicine. It's a brilliant benefit concert, and it's happening on May 14th at Place des Arts. It is to support the Neuro Brains Tumour Research Center, and this is going to be something very, very, very special. Tickets are available now. We'll post links on where you can get the tickets in all the description. And they're actually working on a benefit album that's going to be dropping later this year in the month of September. And he's coming with his band. He's going to be performing at Place des Arts. And this is going to be really, really cool, man. I mean, I'm excited to go to the concert. I'm excited to possibly meet him in person. And just to be able to talk to him like we did today was really, really special. And I know that, like I mentioned when I started, his name has been synonymous with, impeccable music for years, whether it was behind the scenes or whether it was in front of the scene, meaning on stage, performing his music, recording it. And I'm really, really excited that we got a chance to talk to him. So without any further ado, Ryan, let's jump into our chat with the legendary Alan Parsons. So really, really happy to be joining you today on this chat to talk about one of the reasons why you're coming to Montreal, which I think is not only cool for fans of your music, but a very, very noble thing that you're doing. Would you mind just filling everybody in on why you're coming to Montreal? Besides bagels, smoked meat, great culture.
And practicing my French.
Yeah, that too.
The purpose, of course, is to do a great concert, which is on the 14th of this month, not far away. But the whole thing was set up by my good friend, a guy called Rob Francis, who is a Montreal businessman and musician and recording studio owner. Sadly, he lost his good friend, a guy called David Tondino, who was a drummer in his band, and he lost it to brain cancer. And Rob has made it his priority to support the research for brain cancer, and that's what he's been doing. And what this concert is representing, brain cancer research at the Neuro hospital in Montreal.
Yeah.
So that's really why we're coming. We're coming to have a good time and play a concert, but we're also supporting the brain cancer charity, which is, I think, hugely important.
Ryan, my co-host, is a cancer survivor. For you, Ryan, when you hear someone like, like Mr. Parsons is coming to do something like this, how does that make you feel?
I was reading up on the charity and the procedures they're doing and what they want to do. I'm just like, I actually really like it that this cause has such a strong target. Like, they know exactly what they want to go for, because usually cancer research seems like this big blanket statement and you don't really know what it is. But I find it's fascinating that how effective this this can actually all be. So am I glad that people are doing this? Absolutely. As somebody who's benefited from people doing research and making the treatments less painful than I'm sure they were in the 50s, I'm really happy that this kind of stuff happens. Alan, we have a mutual friend, a gentleman named Patrick Reed Johnson has has been on the show quite a few times. Well, I've had the pleasure of meeting Patrick quite a few times, and everybody's been talking about Star Wars this week. But there's this little movie he made called 52577 that you're kind of the behind the scenes hero of. And I believe that there was some kind of musical collaboration with that beautiful song "I Can't Get There From Here." Could you actually fill us in a little bit about that song?
Well, it was Patrick's, very, very much Patrick's song. I mean, I contributed a bit to it, but he was keen to get me involved in the movie, of course, and we made a pretty good video for that song, and he's now working on another movie which I'm actually appearing in as an actor.
Oh, really?
So that's fun. He's a lovely guy, and we obviously go back quite a way. You say people are talking about Star Wars this week. Is it some sort of anniversary that I didn't know about?
Yeah, before 5/25/77, which everyone out there is the date the movie Star Wars came out, and Patrick had seen the first screening of it. It was also the day that you dropped your album, I, Robot, actually, fascinating enough. But May the 4th be with you has been kind of a...
it's become like Star Wars Day. So
become like Star Wars Day unofficially. Patrick has one little message for you. He says, I said, hey, I'm possibly talking to Alan Parsons tomorrow. What should I tell him? I know you guys are buds. And he says, tell him I said hi, and I just received a royalty check for a song big enough to buy the entire Thunderbirds TV series on Blu-ray.
That's funny.
That's great. Getting to your music and talking about, the impact that your music has had, being someone who grew up in Montreal, Montreal is very much a city that has always embraced progressive rock. It's, through a rock station, Chaume, that was very, very, influential on a lot of our ears over the years. But I always remember, there was something about your music that was a little bit different, and it felt like, a lot of people will classify it later on and say, oh, it's yacht rock, it's this, it's that. But it always seemed to me, it was a little bit more than just, a lot of prog can be a little cold, but your music always had a bit more warmth to it.
Absolutely.
It always had a bit more of a heartbeat than some prog could have. And, being someone who doesn't understand prog, maybe from the outside in, they look at it as like, well, it's just so much noodling. There's so much musicianship that it's just, it seems like it's another level of music that's not like pop that you can just sink into. But you've always had a way of making your music feel like it has a heartbeat. What was the reason for that? And am I right?
Well, you said it all. It didn't come from me. So, I'm honored that you would say such nice things. Yacht rock, no, I'm not particularly proud of being associated with yacht rock, and I think we are more prog than yacht rock ever was.
100%.
Yeah,
I think a lot of people in who have been classified as yacht rock are unhappy about it.
Oh yeah, I mean, if you see that documentary when they reached out to Donald Fagen, he wasn't very happy.
Yeah, no, not at all happy.
It's fascinating when you think about progressive rock, and just kind of like, I grew up in a punk background, so when I heard progressive rock, I'm like, oh god, it's going to be a bunch of guys showing off for like 8 minutes. But your project, your Alan Parsons Project, which is funny because if you abbreviate each word, it spells app. It's a very fascinating thing because it's so warm, it's so cinematic, and it grows. And I found out when I was listening to your brilliant album, The Secret. That's my favorite album of yours, by the way, The Secret. I think really? It's freaking awesome. I just kept picturing, I thought of it in a cinematic way where I'm like, this not only feels like a story, but it actually feels like it lends itself to film, even though a film doesn't exist. Does that make any sense to you?
We always considered ourselves cinematic rock. Or prog rock, whatever. I'm always pleased if people, when they hear the music, conjure up, imaginary, visionary images. I think if that's the case, then I've done my job well. Feel good about that.
When you approach things like anniversaries of records, you see so many people, a record will come up and it'll be like, oh, it's the 30th, it's the 35th, it's the 40th. And as you have such a wide body of music for over the years, and every one of these records as time goes on is going to lend itself to having an anniversary. Is that important for you to look at those things and go like, well, let's try to put a box set together, let's try to like look and see if there's extra stuff and look for stories, or is that something where you're just like forward motion?
It's been the labels always,
right,
or the publishers that come up with the ideas to do these things. iRobot is just coming out later this year as a new box set with new mixes, not new Dolby Atmos and 5.1 mixes. So that's nice. But anniversaries, I'm the last to notice. But I was reminded, of course, the big one was Dark Side of the Moon, the anniversary of Dark Side of the Moon, which was a 50th anniversary, and that was actually 3 or 4 years ago. So
It's crazy. Yeah. When you think about it. But what's great about rock and roll, as much as people over the years have tried to say rock and roll is dead and it's not going to have a place in the future, rock and roll is always going to be there. As long as some kid finds a guitar or finds one of those records, they're going to want to create music. And that's what's beautiful about rock.
Indeed. I agree. No, I think it's far from dead. And, but getting interest in rock music for the new generation, that's a challenge. It really is. Just passing it down generation to generation is obviously a good thing, but I don't know. I don't know what to suggest, but there's some work to be done there.
What I always loved about your music is that it just seemed like you wrote for the album and not just for the single. And the music business these days, with a smaller attention span, it just seems like everybody wants their hook immediately, for instant gratification. But what I loved about your music is I couldn't imagine skipping a track on an album. Do you find like people are starting to get a better attention span these days with the rejuvenation of an interest in vinyl and long playing formats?
I think vinyl has helped that situation enormously. Yeah, I mean, otherwise it's a 3-minute, 4-minute world. Playlists, streaming. But the vinyl record is a wonderful thing, and you have to turn it over. You play one side, then you go and put the kettle on, then you play the second side. It's a wonderful thing.
Except when they push a record across 2 discs and you have 4 sides, and then it's like that's what was the great thing about me when I had kids. When my kids were young, I brought them up on my records, and at one point when they got I had enough confidence in them, I could send them over to the turntable and go, "Can you just flip that over for me now?" And I wouldn't have to get up, which was kind of nice.
Of course, this new technology of half speed mastering at 45 RPM. That gives you the very best quality.
It really does.
So you can only realistically get 3 songs.
3 songs per side, yeah. So when you're looking at spreading it across 2 discs, but it really does there is something different about when a needle drops on grooves and what you hear through speakers. And I know that when CDs did come out, the sound quality was it was impeccable, but there's just something about that experience that is just so special, of putting in, the album artwork, all of that stuff is really, it's a ritual that I'm really, really glad is coming back, and it has been back for a while.
I agree totally. Yeah. It's, CDs, it was a funny thing. Everybody loved the scratch-free, pop-free, high fidelity sound of CDs, but we got wise to it. Our ears got tuned into, well, it sounds a little bit digital, sounds a little bit hard, Yeah. And it still remains what we call in the business a 16-bit medium,
right?
Which is not the best. It's 24-bit is the norm these days, and much higher sampling rates than CD. So yeah, I mean, we got tuned into the weaknesses of CD over the years. I think that's another reason why vinyl is so popular these days, because it really is the highest quality medium out there.
I know that obviously you're somebody who spent a lot of time in studios and who seems to enjoy creating in the studio. Is that still the fact today? Is that the place you're most comfortable, or you prefer to be on stage?
I don't really have a preference. I'm pretty happy doing both. The studio is where I grew up.
Yeah.
That's where I formed my skills as an engineer and producer. But I'm looking forward to not only the concert coming up on the 14th, but we're going to Rob Francis' studio, the guy I mentioned earlier, who's sadly lost his drummer friend to a band that he was playing with. He has a recently upgraded state-of-the-art studio in Montreal, and the band are going to stay on. My band is going to stay on and do some recording at his place for a few days.
Can you tell us a bit about what you guys are going to be working on, or is it still kind of top secret?
They're songs. They're just songs that Rob wrote with this friend of his who sadly passed away. I've only heard them a couple of times each, but that's the magic of production. You develop from a basic demo idea into a final product. That's the fun part.
You mentioned magic and production. I mean, there's this huge thing right now where people are getting instant gratification with using AI to create songs, but not really develop any skills. Not only being a fantastic musician yourself, you're one of the most world-renowned engineers as well. What do you think of people kind of like not trying anymore? They won't try. Like, what do you think of that?
Well, I'm slightly worried about the possibilities that AI has opened up for remixing tracks, and I actually used AI the other day for helping to get rid of a vocal spill on a Steve Harley track. Was Steve Harley big in Canada? Steve Harley, Cockney Rebel.
Not huge, but respected, definitely.
Yeah. They're doing a special deluxe edition of his third album, Days of Our Lives. Best Years of Our Lives, it's called.
Okay.
I used AI to get rid of some vocal spill on a guitar track, and it's incredible. I mean, you can put any song through AI and make it a karaoke track if you choose to do so.
Right.
It's unbelievable.
And being someone who's recorded music in the past, I recorded I was lucky enough to have recorded on 2-inch tape and to actually, see the difference when it gets dumped down to 1/4 inch and all that stuff. But I remember this was probably in 2000. We were recording an album at A&M, well, now Henson's. And the Pro Tools guy came in, and it was like a big deal because he came in and he wheeled in this huge thing, and he was there to to work on some drum tracks, and he was using Beat Detective and all this stuff, and it was so state of the art. And I'm sure all that stuff can be done on your phone now. But what I would imagine for you, being someone who spent so much time in the studio, anything that can help make things quicker is obviously a welcome thing to a certain degree. If it's not necessarily creative, if it's purely for execution and for for precision, it must be a joy in a way.
Yeah, I mean, hard disk technology in itself has made a huge difference to how quickly things get done. I mean, just a simple concept, for instance, backing vocals that appear on 3 choruses in a song. You only have to do it once,
right? And
then paste it into the other choruses.
Sure.
And nobody has ever complained about that. Nobody's ever even noticed that that's the case. Yeah, I mean, I still stick to old principles when it comes to having a band in a studio. I like everybody playing at once, and don't like to start with a click and a drum loop or a bass line or whatever. Like everybody playing together, and you get a much better impression of how a song is going to turn out when everybody's playing, and ideally a singer singing along with it as well. So that's the way I've always worked, and that's the way I think I always will work.
Always will work. Yeah. Go ahead, Ryan.
Well, Patrick mentioned to me that you really like Thunderbirds, like as a show. And funny enough, I guess we've had on this show is also Glenn Matlock. Glenn Matlock was also from the Sex Pistols, also as a Thunderbird fan. Anyway, have you ever actually been ever remotely musically inspired by Thunderbirds in any kind of way?
I think I would have to say no. I mean, it was always on. I think it was on Sunday mornings on TV in the reruns.
Yeah,
and there's just something that told you to tune into it. I did enjoy it, but I can't say it was an influence. No.
Lastly, before we let you go, I have to ask you this because I know that just the people that discovered your band after this pop culture moment, it was mind blowing. But have you ever had a chance to talk to Mike Myers after him dropping the Alan Parsons Project in Austin Powers?
I never did meet Mike Myers. No, in fact, it came as a complete surprise to me.
Did it make you laugh?
Oh yeah, it was funny, all right.
Because the amount of kids that found your band after that is crazy.
It was the best piece of promotion I've ever had.
Alan, thank you so much for taking the time. The show's happening next week in Montreal. We're going to post all about it. And, it's just really nice to take some time to chat with you. I've always had a lot of respect for your music and the production as well. But just the fact that you're doing this just shows that your heart's in the right place as well. And it's always nice when you find out one of your musical heroes has a heart too. So that's really sweet.
Oh, you're very kind. Thanks a lot.
Thanks for taking the time.
Yeah, I'd like to see AI make an album called iRobot. No fucking way.
Yeah. Or Vulture Culture. That's not going to happen.
Thunderbirds, our go.
I love the Thunderbirds connection. That's so cool.
I love his impression of Thunderbirds.
Did you see him?
I was kind of talking, and I had a corner of my eye. I'm like, is he pretending to be one of the Thunderbirds?
I'm looking at him. He's going like this. I'm like, are you going to pick up on this anytime, Ryan? Because the guy's totally Thunderbirding for you.
My dad really liked Thunderbirds too. Like, when it was on, and it's a large part of like my dad's a mysterious man. Like I love him. I talk to him every day, but my mom talks, my dad doesn't. So when he does, I kind of like, grab the information where I can. And I know that my dad likes Bob Dylan, the Rolling Stones, and Thunderbirds, and that's pretty much what I've stitched together through 41 years of love. Yeah. Oh, and he likes martial arts too. But it's interesting how he actually liked Thunderbirds, and it's really cool. I'm really glad that we have an opportunity to have this long form conversational podcast type, because this was a lot better than just it. I'm sure he does have he's a rock legend. I'm sure he has other people to talk to today, but this wasn't like that quick thing you do when someone's promoting a movie and you have about 5 minutes to, trying to make a connection. I thought that we did. And I thought that this episode was a good one. I'm really glad we did this.
Yeah, me too. And a big shout out to our friend Lisa Lee from the Lisa Lee group, who's
the GOAT. Not that you're a goat. Not that you're a goat, Lisa. You're the greatest of all time.
Yeah, she is. She really is amazing. And when she messaged me and said, "Hey, would you be guys down to talk to Alan Parsons?" I'm like, "Are you kidding me? I love his music." And this concert is going to be really, really special. If you're a fan of Alan Parsons, you've got to be at it. It's going to be happening May 14th at Place des Arts, and he's going to be playing the songs you know and love. And this is directly from him. So I'm excited to hear a bunch of the songs that I love. One of my favorite Alan Parsons Project albums is Vulture Culture, which is just a great record. Came out in '85, and that's the thing. Like, you have a favorite record, like everybody's got that time when they got into the band. And it's cool when you do get into a band on a certain record, whether it be the first, the third, the seventh, and then that record becomes very special for you. And for me, Vulture Culture was always a special record. So I'm just excited. I'm excited to see what he's going to play. I'm excited that he's coming to Montreal and that he's doing all this for a good cause, which to me, really, really, like we mentioned, it shows somebody's character. And it's always nice when your heroes have a great character.
Yeah, they say don't meet your heroes, but in many cases you should. Patrick Reed Johnson also made this film that I was obsessed with called Angus, and I had no idea. I met him. I talked to him for about half an hour at the Irish Embassy. May it rest in peace, because it burned down after a Fantasia screening of 52577, which was all also an unfinished version. Right. So I kind of saw the World War II footage version of 52527, ironically, but it's Patrick's a great guy and he's a great talker. He's an amazing storyteller, but I don't know what he would be like as a songwriter. So Patrick as a songwriter, I remember popping on I Can't Get There From Here and thinking, as a songwriter, he's a great director. And then I listened to it. I'm like, what the fuck? Wow.
Yeah. Sometimes people are really talented. They can do a lot of different things, man.
Why is this so good? And we brought up in the interview that, he considers himself a very cinematic band. And I would say the same thing. And I don't want to insult anybody, but I'm like, when I was picturing this, it's interesting that Dark Side of the Moon, which he was an engineer on, it's commonly practiced to synchronize it with the Wizard of Oz.
Yeah, I went to that recently. I've been doing it a couple of times,
and it's a miracle that any of it kind of just happens. It's insane. I don't think they did it on purpose. It's just one of those things.
But it's just one of those happy accidents.
It's one of those happy accidents. But the theme of The Secret, if you listen to it lyrically, in my head, I'm like, if they ever wanted to make a new Wizard of Oz, I would use all of these songs. And I Can't Get There From Here seems kind of like a post-credit. Dorothy's back home and she's reflecting upon her journey to Oz. And it's just this beautiful Beatle-esque song. And it's absolutely stunning. It has no business being as good as it does. Patrick, you're an amazing songwriter.
Yeah,
Alan, you're an incredible producer. What the hell? Why is the song so good? And why don't more people know about it? So if you want
to, check it out. I mean, we're here talking about it. There's
you want to check out 52577. It's conveniently on Tubi TV, the free app. It wasn't made for Tubi TV. Just to classify some of those.
I own it. Okay, I bought it on Blu-ray.
Some of those made for Tubi movies are a little shameless. This is not one of them.
No, it's great. It's great. His story about seeing Star Wars for the first time and being one of the first people to see it is just mind blowing, dude. It's a mind blowing story. And it's like, and the fact you come home and you've got this whole thing that you've seen that is going to change everything, and you can't talk about it to anybody. Or if you do, they don't believe you.
Yeah, they don't believe you. Yeah,
I love it. What really intrigued me was when Alan mentioned that he's got a part in his new movie.
Yeah.
And that's like, ooh. Yeah. So I think we're going to have to talk to Patrick and try to get some info about that, because I'd like to know what he's working on. I want to let everybody know that if you're a fan of Alan Parsons, make sure you go check out the concert. It's called Music is Medicine, a brilliant benefit concert, and it's going to be happening on May 14th at Place des Arts. Get your tickets now, and we'll put a link below. And it's all to benefit the Neuro Tumour Research Center. Ryan, thank you for doing this with me. We want to thank all of you at home. Thank our producer, Julia Kajerski. And until next time, we'll see you on the Rockman Power Hour. Hey, thanks so much for watching the podcast. We really appreciate your support. And if you're enjoying the podcast, click this link right over here to watch the next episode, and click right over here and subscribe. And that way you won't miss anything.